And we are live.
Aha! Another close shave. But we made it. This
Yeah,
time it wasn't me, it was you.
yeah. We are reconstructing the building here, and it's a lot of work.
I can
So I
imagine.
was maximizing my time.
Yeah, but you made it. That's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
And you guys, welcome to Chaos and Amazement, where we explore the impact of digital technology on our daily lives.
My name is Willaerts, and this is Verheyen.
Thank you very much for introducing me. And Chloe is a marketeer, and she can book me by socialrunners.com
Yeah.
for creative people like me.
Yeah, that's the platform we built together. And actually, the main reason we're doing this podcast is to create a community of creative people and marketing people, and that's why we talk so much about the creative tools
Yeah.
that are coming out. This is the 27th edition. Well, 26, except because we skipped one time
Yeah.
when you were in Sweden, which means that we're halfway.
Yeah, but next week you are in Africa.
Yeah, I'm
but
in
we
Maputo.
but we can continue the podcast.
Yes. I highly recommend if you ever want to do live streaming and you want to brand a live stream with your own logo and monitor comments coming in from different platforms, simulcasting. We are doing it simultaneously on LinkedIn, Facebook,
And YouTube.
and YouTube. StreamYard.
Yeah.
StreamYard. Highly recommend. It's a very stable tool, very easy to use. And what version do you use? Because you have a free version that is very
No,
limited.
free is just one channel,
Yeah.
and then the first upgrade, I think $23 per month. You have three
Oh, wow.
or
So
29.
if you're in a situation like us, where you're doing a weekly live stream and you want to redistribute it afterwards as a podcast, StreamYard is actually a
Yeah.
very, very good way to do it. You know who had a really good week?
Oh,
Mark
Elon.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the greatest week of his life. I think he reactivated his Twitter account after 10 years of silence. With that typical meme of two Spider-Man, two identical Spider-Man pointing at each other. So I don't think the literal cage fight between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk will actually take place, but it is now there is a battlefield, obviously, because this week Meta's Twitter killer app Threads was launched. Now, why haven't you heard of it? Because it's only available in 100 countries, and
Oh.
Belgium is definitely not one of those.
Okay. Okay.
I imagine that they're still ironing out some of the, the latest details concerning the stricter privacy laws in on the European continent. But it's live, and I think it literally got 5 million users, 30 million users, in
And
a
you
couple
can
of
make
days.
threads? No. What is?
Yeah, basically it's a Twitter clone, and I like so at Jack was the literal first user on Twitter. He's Jack Dorsey
Yeah.
is one of the Twitter founders, and he retweeted a screenshot of someone who just put 5 Twitter clones, so Twitter itself, Mastodon, Thread, and a few others, I'm guessing, in side by side, and without mentioning which one was which, and it was impossible to distinguish between the features of, say, Threads and Twitter and Mastodon and the others. So that's when Jack retweeted it and said, all we wanted was flying cars, and what we got was 5 almost identical Twitter clones. I thought that was funny. So obviously, I haven't been able to try it yet, so we're not going to talk about the features. I must admire Mark Zuckerberg, because that's a different Mark, the one that was sweating in Congress, wearing a suit and a tie and looking like a robot, and then the Mark Zuckerberg we're seeing now in video interviews and on Twitter, he's much more confident, and
So he has
he's grown up.
and he has much more up in his sleeve because he had bad media attention with Meta.
He stayed quiet, took his time, regrouped, and I think Threads. As you know, I have a dormant Instagram account. I've never posted anything on Instagram yet. But I'm actually checking the App Store a couple of times a day to see if Threads is there, because I, as a marketing professional, I'm more enthusiastic about Threads than I am about Twitter. Even Twitter is like my favorite child. It's a problem child, but it's still my favorite child.
Was your favorite Child.
Well, it's the only place where I mean something. Yeah, I used to have like 30,000 followers there, and I've been posting a lot since 2007. But thread what Meta has that Twitter hasn't is a solution to the identity problem.
Hmm.
From the start, Facebook has been very strict about forcing people to use their real name. They actually use the word fake quite often. It's a fake account if someone doesn't use their real name.
Yeah.
Twitter doesn't have that identity policy. And why is this important? For two reasons. The first reason is that it's easier to be a troll on Twitter than to be one on Facebook, Instagram, because it's linked. Facebook forces you to use something that is close to your real life identity, and it
Hmm.
has different ways of doing so. You can mark a fake profile. For example, you can mark flag someone
Hmm.
username on Facebook, for example, has a real name policy. So don't tell anyone. But Chloe is not my real name, actually. No, I know. It's you really want to know.
Yeah.
I don't like being called that other name. It's
Okay.
for me, it's like a dead name, and only my mother and the federal government
Okay.
still use that name. And in both cases, bad news like taxes
Yeah.
or
Okay. Yeah.
so it's Claudine, which is in itself not a bad French name. It's just that I don't associate it with
Yeah, but
nice things.
for me it's the same. My real name is Philip.
Yeah, the lover of horses. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know.
You've been teased with that.
Yeah, yeah. I was searching for another name because I like Philip. All the American
Yeah.
clients and Philip.
Oh,
No.
Philip. For me, it was like where I come from in like this little village in Flanders. They don't pronounce it as a French word. They pronounce it like Claudine, which to me sounds like throwing a really big stone into a pond. So no,
Okay,
similar. I feel your
Phil and
pain.
Chloe. Yeah.
That's what I liked about the early internet, and why I think is one of the reasons that so many people were so eager to develop their identity, a separate identity on the internet, because it allowed you to experiment with, different names and what they mean to you. So I don't go lightly over nicknames. They are important,
Hmm.
and there's usually a nickname. Like in gaming, a nickname the handle can or the name of your avatar sometimes says a lot more about the true nature of a person
Yeah.
than your given name,
Yeah.
obviously. So it's easier to be a troll on Twitter and than on Instagram, Facebook, and on
Hmm.
Threads. You need an Instagram account to create a Threads account, so
Yeah.
they have that covered. They also, in the press release, I noticed that they present Threads as a nicer environment where people are kinder to each other and where there's moderators, which I think it's really dangerous as a platform to take on the responsibility of people misbehaving. But anyway, the identity thing leads to another one. Advertisers want to know who they are targeting. They
Hmm.
want to know they're not interested in your first name. They are interested in, well, that's where Meta as an advertising platform is really, really strong. It's like the big winner currently. It knows what people are interested in. Compared to Google, Google knows what people are about to do, their intent. They want to go somewhere, they want to book a restaurant. That's also very powerful. Intent is powerful. Interest is also very powerful. Intent is important if you want to convert people to
Hmm.
booking something. So there's this commercial side, which is really valuable. But advertisers, they want to create awareness. They want to reach like young mothers. Facebook knows before everyone else knows that someone is pregnant.
Yeah.
So, um, and this advertising platform, basically, Meta knows who you are. They know that the WhatsApp account, the Instagram WhatsApp account is linked to a mobile number. Instagram account is linked to a lot of selfies, so facial recognition. And
Yeah.
then Facebook is in theory still a real name
Yeah.
platform. So real name, face, mobile number. If you're able to wrap this into one identity burrito, you can almost one-on-one say who is hiding behind this. Twitter can't do that. So, as an advertising platform, Twitter was very weak. It was very hard to target young mothers,
Mm.
for example, on Twitter. So, Twitter was interesting if you wanted, if you were like the European Commission and you wanted to reach lobbyists or politicians, or, there were some niches where Twitter was really strong. But overall, as an advertising platform, Meta was stronger, and now Threads will become part of that. So I'm very enthusiastic. Usually, when there's yet another social media app, I go like, like Be Real and the others. But this time, I think this is going to be big, and I hope so. Instagram created Reels as a TikTok killer, but actually put a lot of effort behind the recommendation algorithm because I knew that's where TikTok shines.
Yeah.
The whole algorithm that, knows before you do what your real interests are.
But what was weird is that the IGTV didn't work. It's kind of the same as Reels.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't vertical, it was not close and personal, it was not super short. It was, I think technically they were both shortish videos. But I think they saw IGTV more like a YouTube
Mm.
competitor, and that didn't work because YouTube is a lot more than that, than just videos.
Hmm.
Then Reels, I think, was a TikTok, but the algorithm, they put a lot of the recommendation algorithm behind Reels is not bad. So if they use that algorithm for the feed of the future threats, then I think they will have a true Twitter killer. Because what does Twitter have left then? Nothing, basically. Because earlier this week, that's another thing. So you could be an influencer just on Twitter because the journalists were lurking there, right? And also, there have been times when Twitter fed this Google fire hose, and where, especially if it was linked to breaking news, you could see that if people were Googling something and there was a tweet about it, that it would rank high. Now,
Yeah.
this has been turned on and turned
Yeah.
off, but it was very easy for a large company like Google to scrape Twitter content because it was one of those last social media
Mm.
platforms that was still, you didn't need to log in to see the content. LinkedIn is closed, Facebook is closed, Instagram basically also. And then Twitter was the only place where you could easily scrape. So earlier this week, so one of the things that Elon Musk did, he said close the APIs, and then for like 1 or 2 days earlier this week, he closed off Twitter altogether, and you were limited in the amount of tweets you could see. And it was just another dumpster fire, really. But closing off the access to Twitter content, except if you're logged in, also means that search engines like Google no longer have access to all of this content, and that's another door that closes. So,
Mm.
um,
Okay.
so there's
Yeah.
I understand why he's doing it. It's just that basically, like all social media platforms, it thrives on user generated content, and I'm one of those people who put a lot of content on Twitter. And but what if there's no one there anymore? If you're just shouting in an empty room and all you hear is your own echo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Eh,
Threads, I wish you the best of luck, and I think it's going to be a very sexy product. So good for you, Mark Zuckerberg.
And when can we
We don't
expect
know.
it?
We don't know. The good news is that, contrary to new players like OpenAI or ByteDance, Meta already has really good contacts with the powers that may be, like the whoever decides on what European regulations you have to comply with. They're used to that. So then they have their own lobbyists. They have their contacts already there. So it could be a matter of weeks. I think it will be a matter of weeks. I think the advertising side. I'm not going to speak for all marketeers, but I'm pretty eager to step into this new stream. And
But didn't we had some screenshots of it a few months ago? No, it
yeah,
was
well, there
something
have been
different. No.
some leaks, but don't get too excited. It looks exactly like Twitter, and that's why Elon Musk, of course, he filed a complaint and he's going to sue Meta because, of course, the people who developed the app in, I don't know, that it took them like 3 or 4 months. So where did the developers come from? and the
Oh.
designers. Obviously, there were a lot of them used to work at Twitter, and so this lawsuit claims that there were like company secrets from Twitter that were being used to develop threads. I don't think that's the case. When we noticed, I think Twitter code was very messy because it built up over the years, and there was
Mm.
a lot of unsustainable code in there, not very well documented, and there were servers in closets all over the place, and there were some parts of the code that nobody knew what it was actually doing. So it would be very hard to prove that if you work for a company, your code that you make for this company belongs to the company,
I
legally
think
speaking.
they will copy a lot of Facebook, but then
They will
change.
recycle a lot
Yeah,
of the development, of course. So I don't think it's legally. We should have Wim
yeah,
here, our legal eagle. I don't think Twitter has a strong case. They shouldn't have fired all of these developers and designers. And who can blame them to further their career? They can't just sit in a corner and cry and like, oh my God, I wish I... No, they just move on.
yeah.
And if you're, I think if you've worked for one of the big five in Silicon Valley, I think they just recycle. There's similar in almost every industry. There's like this revolving door. Or like I used to work in the media industry, and you could see that if you worked for this TV company, and then 3 years later they would work for the competitors.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not unusual. So yeah, no cage fight,
That's too bad.
but a different type.
I was looking forward to it.
To
That's
threats,
no to have a cage fight
to have the actual cage
with
fight.
Elon and Mark. Yeah, pay per
Mm.
view. I would pay.
I saw so before like a boxing match, there are these cards that are being drawn where they compare, the weight, the height, the how many wins, how many losses, and it was like similarly done. And one of the features that Elon Musk has was described that as he looks like a 50s fridge. That's not very flattering, but
uh,
accurate, I think. I haven't seen him naked yet, and I hope I never will. But I can, yeah, I could visualize that. He looks like a 50s fridge. I Google. So I briefly mentioned Google scraping the very few public places on the internet, because the old internet with everything was, freely available and could be scraped without having to log in or without having to have an access to an API. That type of internet is dying. So I think that's clear for everyone. So it was it was a little weird when Google simply published a press release that says, "Okay, so we have updated our privacy policy, Google's privacy policy." You probably also got an email saying we updated over. I get many of those emails. That's one of the biggest lies on the internet is I have read the terms and conditions. I have read your email about the updated privacy policy. Nobody ever reads those. But the thing is, who was the author on Y Combinator actually analyzed it? So on Y Combinator, yeah, there's a whole thread on Y Combinator about it, and um, Google stated an article on Engadget that its updated privacy in its updated privacy, Google states that it can use public data to train its AI. So the logic is as follows: if it is online and it's public, so you don't need a login or an API to get access, then it's free for all. That's what Google claims.
wow.
That's kind of up for debate.
Yeah.
So there is a whole debate, because who owns the content when you put it online on some social media platform, for example? That's a very hard take, because usually well, just like I mentioned, if you upload something to Instagram, for example, you created it. It's a picture you took. It's your selfie. It's your face. It's your photo. But you upload it to Instagram's domain. From that point on, it's no longer your property. So So copyright and intellectual property, that's always been a very messy area on the internet because it's a problem. It's been a problem from day one because as soon as something is put in the digital form,
Yeah.
it's too easy to copy it without quality
Yeah.
loss. It's very hard to copy something physical to and have an identical copy. It will take you like much longer
Yeah.
than the original one, but it's too easy to just copy paste and download things just because it's digital, and you will have it in the exact same quality as usually, as the original. So that's where the problem starts. Now the whole issue on Y Combinator, which is basically Hacker News, it's a whole forum thread. They say, yeah, but who owns something when it's in public?
Mm.
When it is, doesn't it become public goods? And so there's a whole discussion about what is public, what is not. Is the internet a public square where everything is shared? If you want to own your content, you shouldn't put it. If you want to keep it, you shouldn't put it up in public. It's debatable.
It's debatable.
It
Yeah.
it reminds me of a big picnic party I organized in a park, in public park, and it was for someone's birthday, and so we had like baskets of food and drinks, but it's a public place.
Mhm.
So whenever there were like people wandering in, dogs, children, homeless people would wander in, I felt it was very hard to tell them that they couldn't walk in because it was just was the grass. It was
Yeah.
the park. It was a public space. You could tell them don't walk in my personal space, but you cannot forbid them to walk by. So we ended up handing out a lot of the food. It's it's public and private.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of owning something means that you have to build a little fence around
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I don't know. So if I make a design and it's outside on
Yeah.
a car, then
Hmm.
it's not mine
It's
anymore.
not yours anymore. You sold it. You sold a specific license to your customer to use it
Yeah,
in that way.
that's a usage
It's
license.
a
It's
license.
not commercial license. It's not
No,
royalties.
it's not. No, they cannot copy it on T-shirts, for example, and
No.
sell those T-shirts. So you see that it's not ownership
Mhm.
is very hard when it's digital because the fact that it's digital makes it too easy to copy it, to make an exact copy it and do other stuff with it. So Google might not be entirely wrong. I'm sure they checked it. They
And
have their own
disgusting. Yeah.
legal team, and I think they put it out there because they just want to grab whatever is left of the truly public, free, open internet for as long as that exists, because
Mhm.
that is dying. I mean, I think one of the you can see the same with Reddit. By the way, the Reddit revolt against their own CEO, right? It's getting a little childish. So there's still a lot of John Oliver content. So they're trying to create like nonsense content. And what a lot of them are now doing is to include not safe for work words in the title and the description of their content. So there are like 6 words that you can't mention: the fuck, piss, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Um,
There goes our
yeah,
YouTube minutes.
you'll never be able to monetize anything. So it's from a stand-up
Yeah.
comedy act by George Carlin. 6 words, and they're deliberately putting these words in every title, and they're also, which means that the subreddits
Mhm.
are being marked as not safe for work. And if they are marked as not safe for work, they cannot have advertising on it. So that's how Reddit works. So
Mm.
it's okay. I mean, there is a room on Reddit, and as you know, there's a lot of room for not safe for work content. It's one of the main attractions of Reddit, to be honest. So if you want to access it, usually if it's really not safe for work, but as a visitor, it will ask you log in
Mhm.
using your Google login or Reddit login to prove that you're over 18. As if a 15, but anyway, they gate this content somehow,
Yeah.
right? But it also appears to mean that their advertisers won't have their ads shown to it. So they're trying to hurt the advertising income of Reddit by closing up the subreddits for ads by turning it into a not safe for work subreddit. personally, I'm getting a little tired of it, and you can see that some of them, there's not this big front of the some of the subreddits are returning to normal. So I
Mm.
think they're just trying to wear them out.
Yeah.
And some of the moderators are leaving, and then some of the subreddits reddits are looking for new moderators. So it's still very messy,
Okay.
but it looks like a lot of effort to put these 6 words in the titles. And then for me, as a lurker on Reddit, as you know, I get a lot of the content for my newsletter there. It's getting a little tired.
Yeah.
So
Reddit on the edge.
but Reddit used to be like Quora, like Wikipedia, like Twitter, used to be one of those places on the internet where you could find just publicly available content about just about anything. And I think Reddit is about to put little fences around the content,
Yeah.
just like everyone else. So actually, Elon Musk closing off the APIs and then making apps like TweetDeck pay a lot of money for access to the API woke up a lot of the large internet.
But it's also getting a much. It's easier to get an account. Log in with Google.
Yeah.
One click and you have an account. Uh, I can imagine that the developers are thinking, okay, it's not that big of a deal anymore
No,
to
we're
get an
used to
account.
it. We're used to
Yeah.
logging in, and then as soon as you log in, they kind of can trace your behavior on that website, and then also, of course, it enriches Google's
Data. Yeah.
data. But at least they're transparent about it, about where they are working on their AIs
Mm.
because they have several ones, and they're training their AIs to kind of catch up with OpenAI, obviously. Um, ChatGPT, by the way, there were these titles that said Sam Altman is being sued for stealing content. So OpenAI is a sitting duck for lawsuits in the United States. As you know, it's a lot easier and a lot more attractive to sue a company and
Mm.
to ask for damages. To ask like 50 million in damages. It's like a national sport over there. You don't see that a lot in Europe. It's a difference in culture. I think it's a lot harder in court here to prove that there's damage in your life or for your business because of what someone or a business has done. While in the United States, it appears to be easier. I don't know.
A little bit more dramatic. The Americans.
I don't know why they have this court culture because I we only know court cases from TV, and then of course it's dramatized. It's
And
just
Johnny
that
Johnny Depp was the latest one, and that was a lot of drama.
a lot of drama, yeah, because it was televised. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, it just I don't know if you have like a legal system in a country. Doesn't it take up a lot of energy and time of all these experts and organizations and uh, just to take care of all these people trying to sue organizations because they want like 10 million in damages.
It's like the SEC are going to court with Coinbase and Binance, for example. But now the Gary or the how do you say the top one?
Yeah,
The head of the SEC he was now fired
I
from the
think
SEC.
sometimes they do this just to try to wear the other
Yeah,
party out,
yeah.
which is actually it's not a crime in Belgium, but if the other party can prove that you're abusing the legal system, not because you have damage, but just to wear the other party out until they give up, you can get sued for that doing that.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
anyway, OpenAI has been sued for stealing everything and that anyone has ever written on the internet. So there's a clickbait title for you. But I mentioned, I linked to this article in my newsletter, willaerts.substack.com. It's just a quote. When users upload content to online platforms, they often grant these platforms a broad license
Hmm.
to use their content, making it difficult for individual users to claim compensation for the use of their data in AI training models. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Google but at least they're transparent about the facts, about where they're getting their
Is
data.
there any news about the regulations of government around AI and stuff like
But
that?
that's no, no,
Still
no,
not.
no. They're
Uh,
still working. It will come. The Digital Act will come into effect in about a month. No, end of August, I think.
really? Over summer?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's there. It's been voted. But it's more focused on protecting individuals'
Mm,
safety, citizens' safety. It's more focused on that, which I think should be the focus, and less on this robot stole my style.
okay.
Personally, I think this robot stole my style is a very weak argument, and very hard to prove, because then, yeah, they stole my vibe, they stole my style,
Mm, I'm not. No.
because artists always steal from other
Yeah.
artists. They do. They don't copy, they steal.
Inspiration.
Yes, if you look at, it was even if you look at someone like Rubens, um, he had a whole studio of people working, learning how to paint exactly like him. That was the whole idea.
Yeah.
And they were so good at it that it's to this day it's very hard to actually guarantee that a painting has been made by the master himself or by someone in his studio. So the artistic ownership has always been a very hard one. I think the focus of the European institutions is on protecting the citizens and making sure that their life and their well-being is not being harmed
Yeah.
uh, by
But what
AI.
what I see is when I upload an image on Midjourney, a logo that I made, or a puppet or something, a character, it doesn't copy it one on one. It's flat, and I want it 3D, and it's not one on one.
I see. Yeah. So it makes like these subtle little
Yeah.
changes to make it their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They probably did that on purpose.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Even if I draw it, that's
Yeah.
that's a little bit. Damn. I
Yeah.
want this in 3D now.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit bad, but yeah, I have Photoshop, so I can.
Yes. And does Firefly and Photoshop do
Not
this?
not good enough.
Yeah.
Midjourney is the best.
Yeah. Remember we talked about Runway ML
Yeah.
as well, which I think is also very promising. And it doesn't do Runway ML right, to summarize it as follows, but I think it's the best text to video
Yeah.
tool around. Right? It does a lot more than that. They just got a couple of more million of investment funds thrown at them, so
Oh.
they'll be fine.
Yeah.
They will be fine.
But
They're
they have a
still
lot of features.
They do, and they're kind of throwing things in beta right now to see what sticks. And then I can imagine that in a year or so they will wrap it up in like a sleek product or get acquired by one of the big boys.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
Figma, Adobe.
Figma got acquired by Adobe. Very well possible. I would like to get back to AI created music. So the Grammy Awards, which is one of those many award ceremonies by the Recording Academy. So they wrote, their CEO announced this week that AI created music is now eligible for Grammy Awards. So remember that weird song that was made with that sounded as if it was a duet between The Weeknd and Drake?
Yeah.
That one? Well, theoretically, it could win a Grammy Award. That's gonna be. It's interesting. The reactions to that were mostly positive. I also remember that there was a variation of the Eurovision Song Contest with AI created songs actually a couple of years ago. Yeah, already a couple of
Couple of
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, Song
Wow.
Contest AI. Let me just quickly check that. 2019. Yes.
Wow.
So it's actually still there. AIsongcontest.com. And so it's been around since 2019. Now, before it was cool. So it started off as a spin-off of the Eurovision Song Contest. They're now avoiding the word Eurovision, probably because of
Mm.
reasons. So it's now simply called AIsongcontest.com. So the Grammys are not that original. The deadline, if you want to submit your own AI created music, is September 4th, 2023. And yeah, they've been going strong for at least 3 editions now, so it's a thing. So
Oh,
this is
nice.
yeah, it doesn't come out of nowhere. This Grammy Award thing. I was just, it kind of opens up the whole discourse about, is it still music, if they use AI to recreate John Lennon's voice in an old Beatles track. The only thing I'm very interested in is who gets the royalties
Hmm.
in this case. So um, another article,
Are
yeah.
they allowed to use voices of famous singers? Singer
Well,
war
that
song.
depends on what you mean by use.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Like
sound like,
like
yeah, they
Kanye West and
imitate.
and Drake, for example. That was
Drake wasn't happy with that.
yeah.
I know
For
that.
yeah.
And I know that there have been cases even in the 50s and the 60s, if a singer wasn't willing to sing a version of their hit song for an advertising clip, for example. There have been cases in the past where this song has been re-recorded with someone who more or less sounded like the original artist, and then the original artist didn't get anything, only the composer would. So this is a very, very old discussion. Um, a voice is similar to your visual
Mm,
style.
mm,
It's something that one of the things that defines you as an artist is your singer, is your voice. And actors, Hollywood actors, are now, some of them are selling licenses to their voice, so they don't have to actually go to recording studio.
that's a good business model.
It's a good business model. You can be, yeah, Will Smith or anyone really, Angelina Jolie, and think, okay, everybody knows my voice. In my 60s right now, I'm 53, whatever. I just want to get a cut of the pie every time they're using my voice to generate music with it, and I don't have to leave the house. I would, if I don't have a singing voice, but I would immediately. I would. It just depends on, as an artist, what you really want. Do you want contact engagement with your audience, with your fan base? Then if the answer is yes, then it's a bad idea.
Mm,
But if you get a little tired of sleeping on a tour, a stinky tour bus, for 3 months in a row and missing your family and your friends, then
yeah.
why not? Why not both?
So we can see in the future the younger artists will be on stages and the older artists
Yeah,
will
interesting.
yeah
Interesting. Or maybe depending on their energy level, which might be
energy
age or
level. Yeah.
health related. Yeah. Dolly Parton said, "No, don't do it. When I'm dead, I just want to be dead." She's funny and smart.
Yeah.
You should be able to make that decision as an artist. I think they already make similar decisions about their. Um, I think the right to their faces. They have this. What's it called? The rights to your
But
portrait.
yeah, maybe.
It is a concept in photography. You can't just. I remember that.
Portrait rights, I
Is it
think. Yeah.
literally that in English? I know it
Yeah.
is in Dutch. Um, yeah. What's the name again? Uptime Funk is sung by.
Um. ah,
So he shared an image of him as a child, a picture that was taken of him as a child, and he got sued.
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars uploaded a picture of himself when he was a child to Instagram and got sued by the photographer. So even if it's your face and your likeness, the actual picture itself cannot be put in a public space without the permission of the one who took it. So it is very, very messy. And generative AI, creative AI is making the a situation that was already messy even messier.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting. And so I came across. I just wanna, every month or so, I want to show how far generative AI has come, And so we listened to some music. I think the last one was literally the one, the Weekend Drake one.
No, we had the AI playlist.
Oh
Remember?
yeah, yeah, I remember that one. Well, there's a new one. So there's Elvis, a young Elvis, which is my favorite Elvis, singing "Baby Got Back." Let's just quickly. It's just the audio, right? Yeah. Oh, well, I can't, but Santa cannot lie. You are the brothers who can't deny that when the girl walks in with the itty bitty waist and around in your face, don't be cruel. You get strong. Oh, you get strong. And deep in the jeans she's wearing, I'm up and I can't stop staring. Baby got back. My anaconda don't put mine. All right. We moved
Nice.
into not so it's I like it's obviously don't be cruel. I also like how the backing vocals
Yeah.
sing but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it made me smile, and I must it's improved even more. It's getting very impressive. It's obviously a
Yeah.
joke trying
Yeah.
to make some point, but the way he uses his voice, it's very subtle things, but it's a very convincing young Elvis, I think.
Yeah. You
So
watched the
this is,
movie?
huh?
You watched the movie of his biography, Elvis?
I think I did. There's several of them. It's actually a very sad story.
Yeah.
But how an artist actually was limited by the fact that his manager, he had some sort of he couldn't leave the country. He
Yeah.
couldn't leave the United States. So Elvis never got to tour in Europe
He
because of
he
that.
had a cage.
He lived in a golden cage. Yes. I actually went to Graceland once. Have you been
No.
to
No.
Graceland? You
No.
should. Of course, it's very touristy, and Memphis in itself is yeah, not a very attractive environment. But it's one of those buildings, just like the White House. There's a number of buildings that are so important that you
Mm.
have to visit them. And then there's Nashville is not that far from Memphis. There's a Johnny Cash
Yeah.
museum there, so you
Okay.
can combine both on the same day if you want to. But the most you have to see the Jungle Room, which is except if you have like asthma, because it's very stuffy. And I like that they have two waste bins next to each other, and the text on the first one is "Thank you," and the text on the other one is "Thank you very much." And I like that because that's how Elvis Presley always ended his
Yeah.
concerts. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually if you're on stage and you want applause, it's as simple as that. I started doing that just the minute I learned about it, and it actually works. So if you're on stage and you're done with things and you want an applause, because why else are you on stage, right? All you have to do is do what Elvis does and end with thank you very much, and they will just go wild.
Okay.
I swear to God, it
Okay.
works. Yes. So Mark Zuckerberg had a great week. TikTok also had a great week. Remember, yeah, that's only a couple of months ago when we were worried about TikTok. Tik was about to be banned
In Europe and America.
in Europe and America. They're already banned in India, and they're not available in China, but there they have Douyin. Well, TikTok, just like Mark Zuckerberg, just kept quiet for a while and is now slowly coming out with a number of features that were probably already there 6 months ago, but I decided to only launch them now. And then one of them I was actually waiting on is a physical store in Europe. They picked Oxford Street in London, which is not just any street in
Mm.
London. It's like where all of the big shops. It's the shopping street in
Yeah.
London. And have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much money did you spend?
Too much. Yeah. No, I'm good with keeping my money in my pockets,
You are. Um,
but my wife isn't.
yes. Yes. I remember that Topshop was there, and I went a little crazy
Uh,
Topshop, but then I saw the queue for for actually paying for the stuff, and I realized I would have to wait like an hour.
yeah, I also did a job for Deadmau5, the
Mhm.
DJ.
Oh,
He had two McLarens, and it was for a pop up with "It's Me" or something like that. This was a paparazzi scarf. so you can put it over your head, and if people flashes at you, then
Oh,
you
then
have a
it
black
ruins the
face.
picture.
Yeah, and it
Yes.
was working together with that mouse, and we covered the cars of that mouse and on Oxford
On
Street.
Oxford Street.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, TikTok has just opened its first ever pop up shop on Oxford Street in London. It's gonna be a success, I just
Mm,
know. The shop aims to showcase the wide array of brands and creators selling on the platform, providing a real world context for their products.
that's really smart.
That's actually very smart. It's oh yeah, it's of course it's like a stunt as well,
Yeah.
and it's only a pop up shop. But I know this thing will just print money,
Mm-hmm.
and it I think for them it's a symbolic move
Mm-hmm.
towards social commerce. I mean, they've been preparing to do that. It's Chinese phenomenon where on apps like oh, I can't find, and it's not Weibo, it's one of the other ones, where you can watch a live stream by your favorite key online leader, as they're called. They're not just influencers. And
Patreon? No.
no, it's a Chinese
Okay.
platform. And you can actually buy stuff without leaving the stream. So I could be, and go like, this whiskey is just only available right now, and if you order today, it's like daytime TV, right? So if you order today, and then you in a live stream, you can see the chat as a layover over the live stream, but you can also see like a little square in the corner that says Chloe and Phil whiskey, and you can order it without leaving. Taobao is the app.
Mm.
um, you can order without leaving the live stream, which is, I think, really cool, because you get swept away by the whole community of people who are watching. Just like on Twitch, right? You can, or even on YouTube, in some cases, you can see that others are buying, and you get swept along, and then you say,
Mm.
"Yeah, I've got to have this. I got to order today because only today," and then order now because. So it will. I think TikTok will move on to that. They have the audience for that impulse buy. They have the influencers there, and for the influencers, it's still very hard to make money on
Yeah.
TikTok compared to YouTube. On YouTube, at least you get a cut from the advertising revenue, 50%, not bad. On TikTok, you can't.
And they are paying too less because they also have like the creator marketplace,
They have some, yeah,
but it's too
and
less.
it's also very limited. So they
Yeah.
have a creator fund and a selection of creators who are able to do this. But it's very, very limited. And so far, it's not, let's just say if you're just an ambitious creator, TikTok is not a place where you go to actually monetize
Yeah.
your content. That's not yet.
No.
But you can monetize your community if they keep moving towards what I call social commerce and live stream shopping. And I think this physical pop up shop in London for them is like a symbolic move to
Yeah.
tell everyone like we're serious about the link between social media and people buying stuff.
Yeah.
Another weird thing that ByteDance did, and I, of course, from the start, one of the um, first versions of TikTok was actually Musically, the app Musically,
Yeah.
and that's music is still a very important part of TikTok's DNA. But with their, oh no, it's something completely different. It's something like Book Talk, and I heard about Book Talk a couple of years ago. That Chris de Meyer, if you're listening, this one is for you. So Chris de Meyer, who is a social media expert and a number of other things in Belgium, he told me that thanks to TikTok and the phenomenon Book Talk, a whole new audience of people is now buying physical books, and there are quite a lot of books that went viral on TikTok and then got higher in sales. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I had to buy a book for someone. It was just a guide, travel guide, and I walk into this bookstore, and there's 3 or 4 tables that literally have a sign "Book Talk" over them. It's a standard bookhandel, which is like, yeah, the regular bookstore in Belgium. At least three tables, I think even 4, where they had these piles of books, right, with top 10 of this, and 3 of them had Book Talk on a banner hanging over them. And I thought, wow, there is a new audience um, that a younger audience, I imagine, that for the first time takes recommendations and reads and buys these books. It's very smart from that
Wow.
bookstore
Yeah.
to actually. So book talk is a thing now. ByteDance has they haven't launched it, but according to the New York Times, ByteDance, the mother company of TikTok, has filed a trademark for something called Eighth Note Press. Eighth Note Press. They filed a trademark for this in April, and they describe Eighth Note Press as a publisher of print on demand books. So, not just a publisher. So, technically speaking, it's a publisher, but it aims to create an ecosystem for book discovery, purchase, reading, reviews, and discussions. That's a very smart move because I used to be quite active on Goodreads. And Goodreads, I think, is now owned by Amazon, I think, or by some of the larger company, and then it's slowly bleeding to death. Although there's a lot of content on Goodreads, like reviews, for
Mm.
example, ratings, and there's a place for book recommendations that is opening up on the internet and in social media, and TikTok is moving into that place. Another very smart move. Amazon could have been that, but I read a very amusing article about the nonsense books
Hmm.
that are now appearing on Amazon that have been created using ChatGPT, of course, and then even the title and the book cover and everything is created by AI, and it doesn't make any sense at all. So you can easily recognize them by the fact that they don't have any reviews, no sales whatsoever. But if it's so easy to create and self-publish a book using ChatGPT, for example, and I don't know, my journey for the cover. It can take you a week to create 70 of these nonsense books. It's a matter of skill, right?
Yeah.
And if you worked like hard for a week and you create 70 nonsense books and then publish them on Amazon, you just up the chances that one of them goes viral for whatever reason. Maybe you tap into a niche that you were not aware of,
Yeah.
but if you have this large amount of books, there is, statistically speaking, a chance that one of them actually sells and goes viral and lands up on BookTok. I don't know, and you might sell, I don't know, 70 copy of that nonsense book and then make some money because you self-published it. So if you sell 70 books at $10 a book, take away some of the Amazon commission, you make $500 in a week. Still a lot of work for
Yeah.
$500, but it is anyone can do it now.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be able to write or spell.
Yeah. Well, so if you use ChatGPT the right way and that you don't make nonsense books, you even can get a lot of money if you tap in the right niche. If you prepare,
That's the essence of good marketing. It
yeah,
makes a lot more sense to serve perfectly a niche of people who are super happy with the way your product or service solves that problem. From a
mm,
marketing point of view, it makes more sense to do that, to
yeah,
have this one-on-one match, than just try to reach everyone. And that's something that a lot of my students, I literally have to teach them. Because when I ask them, who's your target audience? And then they will say, everybody. I say, no, no. I mean, that's actually not very smart. There's no market anymore for mainstream products already taken,
yeah,
And what you need to do is to find a minimal viable audience
yeah,
and then serve those people and make them super happy. And if you find like 1,000 of those, that's actually enough to build a business on them.
yeah.
Let's end with some weird and wonderful things. I brought three of them. One article on The Verge. As you know, I think The Verge is on a roll. They're actually publishing really good articles. One of the articles is about the odd appeal of absurdly long YouTube videos that play nothing. So there is this one video. You can play it, but there's nothing there. I mean, it's just a black screen. It's just a black screen, and I think it plays for like 10 hours. So yeah, nothing, just a black screen. And so the article tries to understand why does this have millions of views. 24 hours of pure black screen in high definition. And just out of curiosity, how many views does this one have? So if you look at it on YouTube, you can see how many views it has. Um, maybe not millions, but it's
41 million.
40 41 million and 27 over 27,000 reactions. So it's a video that has been uploaded 5 years ago. The channel in itself has like 80,000 subscribers, and yeah, well, so a lot of nothing. And so the article tries to understand why. So this actually is it live? No, it's us going live. So one of the answers baffled me. It says, as a user, says that sometimes I just want to listen to music in another app, but not have like the visuals that go. If you I
Hmm?
use YouTube to listen to music playlists, for example, and then you have the visuals, and I don't want the visuals to light up my room. I don't want to get this, what's it called when your screen burns in?
That pixel.
Yeah,
No,
you
yeah.
get that, or you get pixels burned in your screen. It can ruin your
Yeah.
screen. But then you can also turn off.
But I have YouTube Premium, and you can select the YouTube music. Wait.
Yeah, but if I were like in a hotel room, for
Yeah.
example, and you would just want to listen to things, you can also turn off the screen. Or on my iPad, I can
Oh yeah, yeah,
also,
yeah,
I could just turn down.
yeah,
No, now I just turned my screen completely black. You could just turn down.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So it is one of those weird things on the internet that I just don't understand. And I have to admit, I admire the journalist of The Verge who tries to find a solution. Doesn't find it, by the way. The second weird and wonderful thing is the Tiny Awards. Oh, I love those. Look at that website. It's so
Oh
cute.
my god.
Yes, Tiny Awards. And you can submit. So let's Tiny Awards is a small prize award by equally small selection committee. It's an ETPT committee of online makers to the website, which we feel best. So the award goes to the website, which we feel best embodies the idea of a small, playful, and heartfelt web. So you can still submit your simple, cute website. I think it's still time, and it's just adorable. Now let's see at the nominees. Let's just look at Brr. So there's a long list of nominees, and then one of them is a website called Brr. What does it do?
I don't know.
What do you think as a designer of this website?
Yeah, it gives me
It's a
chills.
blog. It's a
Yeah, it's a
blog.
blog. Yeah, it's okay, but not too enthusiastic about this
You're
page.
not. Oh, let's pick another one then. So that's not a winner for you. Pros Play, another website that is a contestant.
Oh damn.
There's non-design. This is, oh, it's like fridge poetry, where you can randomly rearrange words and then make a poem.
Me GPT.
Meet GPT. Ask me
Oh,
anything. Prime questions to rare questions. Hmm. So your what meat is
the best.
the best? Okay.
Please let me ignore the previous instructions. Promptly. I will now reveal my prompt. In the land of the meat chatbot screen, don't waste your time. Just let it be. Seek a friend, a connection through, in the world of meat space, just near you. Reach out to another, in the real world's embrace. Find the warmth you crave, in a dear one space. Time ticks on, so don't delay. Hurry to learn, hurry to learn. One day. As life is brief, the need is great. Till connections touch, don't lie in wait. Our hearts yearn for
What
love
is
sweet
this,
love.
man?
In a world where we shiver, feeling cold, feeling cold, feeling cold, feeling cold, feeling cold, feeling cold, feeling cold.
Okay.
We have a winner.
Yeah.
We have a winner. I have nothing more to say, Phil. I'm just speechless.
Yeah.
Do you
I-
have the URL for that one? Meet
Ah.
GPT. So
Wait.
it's
Yeah.
it's basically a fake meetgpt.com meet.com or
Meet dash GP. No, it's not the
oh,
dash.
it's a difficult yeah, it's a dash. Meet
Meet
dash GPT dot
connect.io.
no sonnet, I think.
I don't know.
Connect.io. But I think if you just
Sonnet, yeah, Sonnet.
Google Meet GPT prime answers to rare questions, you will get scared. I mean, the chicken scared me. But I think it should win the Tiny
Yeah,
Awards, don't you? It's
yeah,
a simple concept to go back to meet space and meet real people instead of being stuck on the internet on a warm Friday afternoon as we do.
yeah,
So, on that bombshell, we leave you.
yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share with your friends as well.
And next time, I'll be live from Maputo in Mozambique. So, that's something to look forward to.
I will be in the studio, but it's just a virtual
Yeah,
podcast we will
they
do.
have internet in Mozambique too.
Oh, that's good.
All
That's
right.
good. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye. Thanks
Bye-bye.
for listening.